mile to Hollywood.
Hollywood.
Mountain. And I hit the National Museum.
A gallery, or did you see a
Museum.
That's really good too. Gallery. That's awesome.
I'll have to hit that. My mom and I are gonna go to England and Ireland
What's that?
next year and stop in Edinburgh for one night.
And you probably went out that Inverness.
It's like, I didn't go squirrely this
Yep.
time, you know, sometimes.
Did
you go squirrely.
all the way east.
No, I
to
didn't.
Aberdeen.
Yep.
Right?
We're actually broadcasting?
So we
Yeah,
did
we're on
like a big-
I'll check YouTube.
You go to Glasgow.
Yep, that's where we started.
Okay, flew in there.
Yep.
Look, we're live.
Glasgow, went north.
Yep.
Off the coast.
Yep. Into the Highlands.
Yep.
And all that.
Did you do like whiskey, like a distillery type situation?
Yeah, we did the Blair Apple
Yep,
Distillery.
yep. Oh, yeah,
We
so
didn't go all the
you
way
stopped.
to
Did you go to Blair
Skye.
Castle too?
Yep,
That's really a pretty good one.
yeah,
And did you stop then at the place where they sell the sweaters and things like
yes.
that? Yeah.
Yep,
Something house.
yeah. And we did a sheepdog demonstration,
cool.
that was cool. No, we didn't do that one. I wish we could have done that one.
It's mine.
Oh, okay.
And because I just joined.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah.
so first of all, when I was, my dad was going to St. Andrews, he was doing some like research. 4 months,
Oh, wow,
2 years.
wow.
So they lived there.
You had St.
Which-
Andrews too.
Yeah, which, so we go to St. Andrews.
Okay, yeah.
Because my dad happens to be a member of the Army. What,
Oh, cool.
it is cool. It's kind of amazing, actually. Yeah, which it's a story of how you do that, but I think one of the things I like best about it is. Any guesses as to how much he pays per year to be a member of that club?
Is that like insanely low? No way.
And so he plays for free on all 17. That's courses. That's to be a member of the
Don,
Army.
Juning, and
It's like,
Andrew.
you know, they don't.
Okay, I was wondering.
That's another cool thing I like. The club doesn't own the courses, the city does.
Yeah.
Public courses, they're just like.
So, and I know
Leased out
Elizabeth
almost.
said she was on
PJ for
vacation, so
president?
that would give us everybody.
You can. For a pass.
For a public pass to
You
go
play
play.
more. And so then in the winter, even though they still are scheduling rounds on the old course, if you just come as a single,
Get on anytime, kind of
you'll
deal.
get it on. You'll get on.
It's awesome.
And I
So-
didn't realize how close it was to the ocean there.
It's right there. The
Yeah,
ocean's
I
right
did
there.
not realize that.
Now,
That's amazing.
so I just needed to, because this like is a crazy, so like my mom and dad, when they went over there when I was little, they mostly did it.
Andrew's
for
not on
them.
there, right?
Dad really thought that some cool stuff was gonna happen there
Not seeing
at the
somebody.
university, some cool research he's gonna be a part of. They live in a town just south called Vale, little hamlet at the time. And the place they lived in, the former castle had been divided in 4 or 5 for nothing. And my mom, there- you know, she was trying to make friends and neighbors across the way. Puts a sign in a window like, do you want to come over for brownies? They don't even know what brownies are. At the time, nothing.
It's like
They had never
married to
encountered
sugar.
such a delicacy. And so, anyway, yes, we do. So I want, fast forward, I'm 50 years old. I'm 50. So fast forward 40 years later, my dad meets this guy at the RNA, whatever. And they're starting to talk and, you know, he says, oh, what's, and my dad said, oh, well, we actually lived in Crail. And the guy goes, what's your last name? Dad goes, Brown. And he goes, 40 years ago, your wife Gretchen invited me as a 12-year-old with my families over for brownies. Is that right?
That's
That's crazy.
And it's like, yes, and now he's one of like, my dad's better,
Sure.
so. Yeah, anyway, so I played golf with him this time. So,
That's pretty nuts. You sit on the rooftop bar and have players pretty much hit right over the top of you.
huh?
Isn't there like a rooftop bar that pretty much you have to play over the top of?
I play over the St. Andrews Hotel,
Yeah.
17.
Yeah,
If you want to be in the field.
that's what one of the guys I worked with went over, and I think they played around and they went there. To the rooftop bar.
Yeah,
You just
so
good
it's-
golf balls whizzing.
Yeah, you could just watch. So I think my favorite thing this year is on the 18th, it's a 350 yard par 4. I drove it. I had 15 feet uphill for eagle on the 18th with, and you get crowd there. Because there's a constant crowd. That's the other thing I like about it. It's so like anybody can come, they can walk this place. It's not like here, right? Oh, no. Stay as far away from our club as you can. There's like, I missed it. But,
Like pro.
I mean, very few of the pros actually end up driving it. Would have felt really great to.
Hole out.
Anyway, we got
That's amazing. Are we all good technology wise? Oh, that was an amazing
Carson's online.
story.
Yep, we are good.
Perfect. Thanks for being here, Carson.
You bet.
We have also have Donna and Andrew.
Oh, awesome. Sorry, Donna and Andrew, thanks for being here too.
I am so sad that you forgot me.
I'm sorry. Okay, we are getting started a little late. It is August 7th, 2023. We'll start the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting at 5:48 PM. Hillary, would you call the roll, please?
Grant,
I,
Brown,
Here.
Thompson, Steiger,
Here.
Samuelson,
Here.
Forrest,
Here.
Reagan.
Here. Item number 3 is the approval of tonight's agenda. Any changes or additions to the agenda for tonight? Hearing nothing, I'll entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Samuelson, a motion.
Brown second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Item number 4 is the approval of the July 10th, 2023 minutes of the regular Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Any changes to the draft minutes? Hearing nothing, I'll entertain a motion to approve the July 10th, 2023 minutes.
Samuelson, a motion.
Brown
Steiger
second. I'll let Andrew just participate virtually.
Hey, thanks, Jason.
Yeah, no problem.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Item number 5 is a welcome of tonight's guest and a time for public comment. Is there anyone here in person or on the Zoom meeting tonight who wanted to make a comment about an item that is not on tonight's agenda? Hearing nothing, we'll move on to the next item, which is a public hearing and recommendation on an amendment to the Echo Valley Planned Unit Development regarding automotive repair uses in PUD land use parcel J. Since this is a public hearing, I'll open the public hearing at 5:50 PM. Luke, would you brief us on this item, please?
Sure, so parcel J is the area of Echo Valley with Marketplace going down the center of it. And there are commercial uses between the Highway 28 and Marketplace. Those commercial uses are identified in the PUD as C2. And we had a proposal brought to us by Christian Brothers Automotive, looking at that site for a new automotive repair center. Unfortunately, our C2 district doesn't allow the use that they are requesting, so we need to consider a PUD amendment for that. It'd typically be something we would find in our C3 zoning class. So this is essentially that type of amendment. It's pretty straightforward. It'd be just one addition there, additional approved uses automotive service. I would note that I spoke with the applicants real quick in the hall. And they mentioned that they may have some additional work that they would do that might go into the major overhauling of engines category that we identified there as not occurring on the site when we wrote the PUD. I'd say that's more just a miscommunication with staff on our understanding of what their business and request was. So I don't think there's anything unique to what they're asking there. So I do have the definitions pulled up if you want to take a look at that. I would say we'd probably just be leaning more towards saying a repair garage was allowed on site, which would include the servicing of motor vehicles. You could, if you wanted to, make any other changes to that, if you wanted to specifically limit body work or any, painting or any of that stuff. I don't believe that's what their business would involve. So if you wanted to exclude some of that, since it's the PUD, we got a lot of ability to fine tune that language however you might want. So, but it's most basic. If you just said, it was to allow for a repair garage as defined in the code, that would cover what they're doing. So happy to take any questions. We've got applicants here, Brad and Billy.
Would the applicant and the applicant's representative like to make any additional comment to the commission tonight?
Unless you have any questions, we're happy to answer.
Perfect, thank you. Any questions, not including deliberation from the commission? Okay, hearing nothing, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Oh,
Is everybody online? Want to speak? Did you ask?
anyone online who wanted to speak on behalf of this issue? So we'll close the public hearing at 5:54 p.m. And now, commission, we can deliberate. I guess the
Gosh,
change.
I have, oh, go ahead.
I was just
I
going to
just-
say that the change in the definition doesn't make a lot of difference to me. I think using the repair garage definition that's already in the code would be acceptable in my opinion.
We change it to
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we made the change.
Personally, I need to see the look of this. If it's going to be an open and cars are going to be on the outside, sitting in the parking lot, half done, half not. We're trying to use this area, and the person who developed the area, we've got some great condos. We got a nice restaurant, scooters. It's kind of like the entrance. We've got a great clinic. I'm really concerned about the look of what we're going to be putting there. And I think we've been getting pretty particular about Norwalk Central. And now this, in my opinion, is, when we AOK'd the area past scooters, we assumed that it would be another drive-through, something like that, because of the shared property right there and the shared little parking and how you get in. So I'm having a hard time imagining what this is going to look like with that scooter / parking and then having this automobile service. Because I hate to say it, most of them end up looking pretty trashy after a couple years. Maybe yours doesn't, but that's just my opinion.
So there, I know there's a few in the metro area that I became aware of just as doing some research on things. So this is probably similar to what our site would look at because it's a narrow site. So essentially you have the long building there with bays that can get pulled in. I don't know if this is on Street View or not. Let's see.
Is this the one over by Nebraska at Furniture Mart?
This is up by Menards and Grimes.
Okay.
So pretty short building from a brick standpoint. When we looked at them from an architectural standpoint, we weren't concerned with that meeting our material standards. You've got obviously vehicles parked around. So I don't know if the applicants want to address the, vehicles that would be in stages of repair parked around there, but, just looking at that site, granted, that's a snapshot in time. Gives you an idea what it would look like anyway. You said there was one over Milwaukee.
And if either of you wanted to address that, if you just come to the microphone so the folks on Zoom can hear you.
There was a similar. That one doesn't have anything parked in it. Yeah, I'll pull both of those up while you guys are talking.
I was gonna say, I've just driven past the one in Waukee and Donna, they're very, very different than what I would, meaning I agree, they're very different than like driving past a Firestone or a Jiffy or something like that. Every time I've driven by this one, it's always very, very well presented.
Yeah, this is Brad Keel with Bishop Engineering.
Good to know.
Appreciate your time this evening. Yeah, I live in Ankeny and we have one in Ankeny, very, very different in terms of the nice architectural, very residential in look, with the pitch roofs. And yeah, there are cars, the parking lot is very narrow, and so there are cars that are out most of the time, but I haven't seen anything that, at least in Ankeny's a case where they're half done and sitting outside, or they don't do body work, so you're not going to see cars that are banged up and sitting out there that need body work. These are just cars that are needing engine work or regular servicing. So in my experience, and I've been there a few times, you schedule an appointment, you're usually in and out of there in a day. If you're not, you get out there in another day, and they do have a car service to help take you to and from your place of employment, if that's what you need. So yeah, I've had a good experience with them myself.
Thank you for that.
Pictures for that. Yeah, this is Ankeny one.
Yeah, this is very similar, where it'll be a long building with the drive, and then the cars and parking on one side, and there's a drive-through actually. So it'll drive through Marketplace to the private drive on the would be the west side that connects kind of Scooters and the Mercy in there. It's going to be a little bit of a grade challenge in there, if you've seen the grade out there, but I think we've got a plan in place to get in front of you for that. But yeah, I think it'll look very nice in that area.
Do we know
So your plan, oh, go ahead.
how many bays this one will have?
This will have 9 bays. Yes. Yeah, 9 bays.
That's a 9 as well. Yep.
Yeah. And they're all on one side, so you'll see, them just on one side facing away from Highway 28 and Marketplace, or facing towards the south.
And you plan on making them look just like these?
Yes, yep, that's the plan.
Okay, cool.
Yep, they'll bring elevations when we come to site plan. We'll have elevations for you.
In these other locations, have you all had any noise complaint issues? I mean, I know you're operating during the day, but it sounds like it's a
Not that I'm
noisy business,
aware
I
of.
think. Any other questions for the
Well,
applicant?
I also would share Donna's concern in terms of the look. And, not that you can always figure out the future, but if we were to go down this and let's say it changed ownership or something like that, will we have gotten ourselves into a tricky spot at all? Again,
It would depend on how you define something. So, I mean, what I would suggest based off of the conversation I just had before the meeting would be that we use this definition that I have highlighted and say that it is allowed as a use within parcel J. So basically take that addition, that highlighted definition, and drop it in right here under additional approved uses. Now that's the most simplest way we could do it, right? This does include involving maintenance, servicing, repair, or painting of motor vehicles is conducted or rendered. We could take this and hack it apart, and you could say it's allowed up to maintenance, servicing, and repair, period. and then say no body work, no painting, no, some of the potential things that might be more problematic, and we could exclude those. We've got the ability to do that since it's the PUD, we can kind of write what we want there, so.
I guess I'd be in favor of drawing kind of as tight a box as we possibly could around the use. So that, like I said, that if we don't, I get Donna's concerns, and I think I share the same concerns, that if you're gonna have it's one thing if you got cars that are sitting out there waiting for an oil change or something mechanical. It's a different situation if you've got 6 busted up cars that are sitting out there that have been in auto accidents and just look detrimental, right? For this area in particular.
Yeah, exactly, for the area.
Yeah.
So I think you would control some of that, especially if you limited no body work, because I think that's where you would see a lot of that. At some point, somebody's got a dented up car that needs a new transmission, like.
Yeah,
It is
you
what
can't
it
fix
is,
that.
right?
I get
Yes.
Yep.
Like,
The majority of the cars that my kids drive.
yeah, there you go.
I do.
So I guess, is that something that's amenable to if we drew a relatively tight box around something like that? Okay. Cause again, it's how specific do we need to get with leaving it open for what they want to do?
I guess,
We need to make a specific exclusion to this definition.
I guess I would ask to the applicants, if we said repair a garage, meaning any building, premise or land in which upon a business, service or industry involving the maintenance, servicing and repair of automobiles. I think that probably gets what you need, right? I think that's general enough. And then we can add on a second statement after that, say no body work, painting, or maybe just no body work or painting.
Would we want to exclude certain, and I can't even believe I'm thinking like this. Would we want to exclude even certain types of vehicles too?
Like
Commercial
farm implement
vehicles?
repair or something.
Yeah, I mean, buses or.
They won't fit in our base.
That's how, so it's automatically.
I'd say automotive, maybe it's somewhere in there that it fits in, it's a
Automotive.
automotive repair.
Yeah.
So that draws a tighter box, right? It's.
Yep. We can do that. We can take this definition, I think, throw in the word automotive there, exclude out body work and painting. And I think that gets what they want to do, and I think it avoids a lot of the stuff that we maybe have concerns on, so.
Does that check your boxes, Donna?
It does.
I think we all share the same, concerns or potential issues. Yeah, and I think we've had it in the patio right around. Specific to one user kind of a deal.
It's good thought, because I mean.
Yep.
We've got a nice product that they're proposing here, but we do have to think through the long term of it, so adding in some of those inclusions or help safeguard the 30-40 years from now concerns, so.
I like the configuration that, the bays are on the side that's away from the, street. So,
No, for a body shop, it looks really nice, at least all the other ones, so. They look really good.
any other thoughts, Carson,
Well, yeah.
Andrew, Donna?
The way that these look has made me think, oh, I wouldn't mind taking a car there. Yes, I've driven by like that. That's what it's made me feel like.
Megan, this is Andrew. I don't have any other thoughts or comments. That they were all covered. Appreciate
Okay.
it.
I'm good.
Okay, so, do we need to spell out the specifics?
If you just motion to use the garage repair definition with specification of automotive and removing the bodywork paint.
Okay,
Or if you can just say what Luke just said on the minutes. that's
Yeah.
fine.
so I'll entertain a motion to approve, the amendment to the Echo Valley Plan Unit Development, using the garage repair definition already in the code with the addition of automotive and the exclusion of bodywork and painting as we've discussed.
Samuelson, a motion.
I'll second.
Hillary, would you call the roll, please?
Steiger.
Aye.
Samuelson,
Aye.
Forst,
Hi,
Grant,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Reagan.
Aye. Thank you both for your input.
Yes.
Item number 7 is a public hearing and recommendation on an amendment to the Brody's Landing Planned Unit Development to change the side setbacks in land use parcel E from 6 feet to 5 feet. This is another public hearing, so I'll open this one at 6:07 PM. Luke, could you brief us on this one, please?
Yes, so this is an amendment to the Brody's Landing PUD. Essentially, it's pretty simple. It is a change in setbacks from 6 foot on some R2 units to 5 foot. And that just is to accommodate a different unit type. So it would be for units or lots 33 through 44 and 63 through 66. You can see the ones with the red lines there on the map. So it's really just narrowing up those lot line or those side setbacks by 1 foot is the request. I really don't have a lot to add beyond that. So,
These are already R2.
yes.
A few months ago, we did a change to this area and I feel like it was, and I'm sorry, I was going to try to look it up today and I did not have time. I feel
Mhm.
like we have changed this PUD a few times and I swear it was in this area and
We have a change.
they wanted bigger ones or smaller ones. Are we
Yeah,
just doing a
Elliot,
round?
recall what our last change to the Brody's Landing? I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank.
I thought it was the sizes of them in the middle and around. They wanted to go smaller.
That was on the Brody's Landing South around the kind of loop road. And the road
Okay.
balance with some lot dimensions. But I don't think we've done anything with the Brody's Landing Plat 2 area in a
Okay.
while.
Was the previous one, utilities have been put in at a certain space or something like
Yeah.
that? Okay,
Yeah, the infrastructure was already built and
yes,
it's just
it didn't match.
a road corridor messed with some dimensions because we were being consistent with roads and
I just don't want to keep getting into every time well, never mind.
Is there anyone, either here in person or on the Zoom, who wanted to speak on behalf of the applicant on this item? Any members of the public on the Zoom who wanted to speak on item 7? Any P and Z questions?
I think this is, that 5-foot setback is similar to what we used around the circle. Didn't we change that to 5 feet for Hubble?
and I believe the
R2.
single family in this area is also 5 foot. So
Okay. I don't have any issues with it.
couldn't tell you the rationale of why it was 6 foot. I think it was just that was the unit type that they had at that point in time.
That's
That's
what
looking
fit.
for a different unit type. It's a little bit wider, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we're trying to squeeze another lot on there. We're just changing the setback between the lots, so we're adding a foot to every unit width.
Yep.
I don't have any fundamental issues with that.
I'm okay.
Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing at 6:10. Yeah, I would agree. I don't love the lot sizes, but it's consistent with what we've done elsewhere.
I think we should do it 5.5. Just since they're not here. Or 5 feet and a quarter. You know, they're just kind of between me where I'm gonna give them thumbs up.
You're trouble.
Kind of like if you're not there, you're getting voted.
Oh, are you? Okay, you're doing.
It's not my project, I'm covering, so.
Oh, you're covering. Hey, good, good. Okay, scratch that.
There was, yeah.
There was this jerk.
Andrew or Carson, any qualms about this one?
No issues.
None here either.
All right, well, I will entertain a motion to approve the amendment to the Brody's Landing PUD to change the side setbacks in land use parcel E to 5 feet.
First motions,
Steiger, second.
Hillary, would you call the roll, please?
Samuelson,
Aye.
Forrest,
aye.
Grant,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Steiger.
Aye.
Reginator.
Aye. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks again.
Thank you both. Yeah. David's not here tonight. I don't think he's on the Zoom. And I don't think Holly joined us on Zoom either. So Luke, you're up. Any update for us?
Where would we end up with we had 13 permits last month on for single family and townhomes. So that's still kind of lagging behind what our average would be. But
We have
didn't
more.
we had a
We have more
bunch come in
now
at the
already.
beginning. How many?
We have more already.
More than 13 already for August.
Yeah, we're
7
like
days in
at
August.
16 or something.
So it's weird how, I mean, we track everything by month, but you know, everybody gets ready to submit something. And
Well, and everyone wants to get foundations in before winter, so you're gonna start to see that activity pick up.
Yeah.
so that's chugging along. Oh, what else do we got going on? Trying to stay on top of some nuisances, that Starbucks site was pretty bad if you drove by, so we finally got them to knock that down, so that was good. A lot of weeds out there. And then, you guys haven't seen a lot of the LMI stuff come through, because that's been mainly going to council, but the city does have an LMI rehab program that we offer to folks to help them with needed repairs and stuff. And so we've had a lot of programs go through already this month or this year. And this month we had a big one that was a garage issue that was kind of falling down in Lakewood and stuff. And so we got that down. We still got a couple other things to go on that house, but it's good to be able to help those folks out. And it's not that didn't have a lot of assistance. So, you know, we got a garage down that was probably a health hazard and a safety hazard for folks. And yeah, so they're working on that. So that's good stuff. And then Elliot, did you want to talk any about what you were doing today?
Yeah, sure. So I'm going to share my screen.
Do I need to make you co-host, or is that gonna?
Well, you have to kill your sharing,
I
apparently.
stopped it.
Okay, there we go. So I spent the day going around in some new urbanist neighborhoods in the Orlando area, because when I was going through my certification for Congress of New Urbanism, I was reading extensively about these two in particular. Now, one of them, the first one that I went to today and where my hotel is near, is called Celebration. Celebration is a planned community greenfield development. The entire city is located with it, or excuse me, the entire new urbanist area is the entire city. And just for context, that's where it is.
He's right across
And
the
then,
street.
you know, the center city, way northeast, right? But it's close to the Epcot area, the, you know, various resorts that are in the area, right? That's one example. I'm not going to talk too much about that right now. The one that I was more interested in talking about was Baldwin Park. Now, Baldwin Park used to be a naval training center until about 1990, and then it transitioned into a neighborhood. It was a military installation until the late 90s. And for context, I'm going to zoom out. It's a pretty urban area. It's only a few miles from the city center of Orlando. And I took about 400 pictures today. And this is where I started. I started at the meeting house, which is where the, if you will, HOA or village, I guess, staff building is located. And just outside of there were a couple of very interesting streetscapes. This is just outside the village hall. And again, I'm not going to go at length on this. I'm going to do quite a bit of QCing of these photographs until our next P&Z meeting, or maybe the one after that. But I took a lot of pictures, a lot of interesting design choices by the folks that did it. It's 100% built out, so it took about 25 years or so. So the tree canopy has had time to mature. Well, clearly the scooter companies have had time to evaluate the market and make their presence known. There's quite a variety of residential style of development. Parking on both sides of the street. I noticed that in both Baldwin Park and Celebration. That is something they embraced on both sides. I never felt comfortable driving over 20 miles an hour in any of these neighborhoods, which I think is, based on the stats about, collisions with automobiles and pedestrians. I think that's probably a good thing. A lot of these 3-story buildings had receptacle areas or receiving zones for automobiles making drop-offs. I saw an Amazon truck pull into this particular tunnel shortly after I took this photo. And all of this is very close to where the village center is in Baldwin Park. Now, this area was also home to quite a few of our favorite strip retail joints. That may or may not be located within the metro area. But they had really good wayfinding signage on the perimeter and just, a lot of live work units, kind of that central business district low-rise style that we're starting to see return to Valley Junction in West Des Moines, but we haven't really seen anywhere else in the Des Moines metro. You could make an argument that you've seen this in Prairie Trail. I would push back against that argument just a little bit, and it's not because of the palm and cypress trees. They had some interesting plaza areas in their center business district. I ate my lunch at this Chinese joint over here, which, interestingly enough, was located right next to a Publix parking lot. And, well, there's the liquor store. Awesome. But this, for those of you who don't know, Publix is the superstore of the Southeast. It's the Hy-Vee, basically, of Florida and Georgia. And I took a bunch of these photos on the perimeter of their parking lot. So they have townhomes and ADUs. So this building is, I'm standing in the parking lot of Publix, facing the backside of a building that fronts onto another street. This is a duplex with ADU above it. There are 2 ADUs above this garage set with a house that fronts onto another street beyond where I'm standing. So there's also a couple of walkways that join these ADU areas to give, pedestrian access in case the person living above the cars wants to just, go shop for groceries, which seems sensible given that they live in a Publix parking lot. And there is the reverse angle from where I was standing. So that's not that different from standing at the back side of a Hy-Vee parking lot, right? Adjacent to that are these townhomes that I photographed earlier in the slideshow. And, I don't want to ramble too much, but I took a lot of photos in that area. And it was very interesting to see it on foot as opposed to top down. Google Maps can tell you a lot, but it can't tell you everything. The fisheye lens that Google Maps uses distorts what you're seeing. But I saw a lot of unique, interesting local boutiques, pass-throughs to parking areas, and I was very impressed by really everything about the streetscape. The other thing that I will say, I mentioned earlier that I did not feel comfortable driving over 20 miles an hour in either Celebration or in Baldwin Park. I never felt threatened when I was on foot crossing a street by any motor vehicle. Everybody was making very good eye contact, and there was never a conflict between the vehicular and the pedestrian realm. One other thing that I want to bring up as I kind of just scroll through photos is I saw a lot of kids, lots of kids out just getting ice cream, riding bikes, riding scooters, just, traveling from one part of the neighborhood to another. They're not in my photos because of obvious reasons. But the presence of children really stood out to me in these neighborhoods. And I would like to point out that the high today in Orlando was 101. It was the highest temperature on the tabs for this year. So it was not a pleasant environment to be out in just from a weather standpoint, but they had a very mature tree canopy in this neighborhood that helped cool things down a bit, plenty of shade. And, it didn't keep the kids from going out and just doodling around doing what kids do in all those 80s movies that people love. So it was really inspiring. Oh, and when I went down another street, well, everybody concerns themselves with how does Publix make themselves known, to people traveling by? Well, they have an entrance that's off street, right? And so they have a sign, a tombstone that's off a main boulevard, and that's just where you pull in. And the parking area is just right behind there. So
Do me
Yeah,
a quick favor
that's-
while you're scroll. One thing that I think is always interesting with these is go back to Google Maps and just draw a boundary around that and get a dimension. Like, give me like an acreage size of that so we can get an idea of like what of this area, what size are we talking the entirety of Norwalk? Are we talking,
So now Baldwin Park is quite large, but it is relatively compact compared to Celebration because Celebration has a lot of green space in it. And the lakes that are contained in this development are owned by the city of Orlando. So they're not managed by the development. Okay, so 6 square miles.
1.6 square miles.
Norwalk is 12.
No, it's 1.6 square miles. In total area. You were reading total
oh,
distance.
Yep,
You're reading
yep.
perimeter, man. So
Right.
1 square mile area in Norwalk would be what we used to call sub area 1. So it would be like the kind of greenfield area that now Norwalk Central is being built on, and where Elizabeth Holland Park and Howell Point is. So think of this size, and all of this stuff is in the area that's essentially Highway 28 to 80th, Merle Huff to Beardsley. So just that always helps me when I'm looking at density. You think all this stuff there, like that's not that, how long does it take you to drive Highway 28 from Cherry to Beardsley? 45 seconds, right? Depends how fast you're driving, how many stoplights you hit, right? But so lots of stuff in there in a small area. And when we talk about like the fiscal capacity of paying for the things we build, fitting all of that, I mean, that's what would you guess the population of that area is, Elliot? More than
Maybe
the city in Norwalk right now?
maybe 8,000.
8,000. So basically fit a little bit less than the size of Norwalk right now in that same space. So
Yeah, and like those townhomes, I'm just looking at Zillow, like those townhomes you were looking at that are adjacent to that Publix parking lot, and they're $800,000 townhomes. It's
Yeah,
not like
and those are all duplexes with businesses on the bottom floor.
Yeah, it looked like they had street facing retail.
Yep. There was a Pilates studio, a real estate bureau, a State Farm agency, a wine shop, a tea shop. Yeah, that's what stands out. But, a variety of retail off the commercial strip. So that's what backed onto Publix. That wasn't even the downtown of Baldwin Park, right? And those businesses were making it work. So I was very impressed by what I saw there. And Celebration was a different beast. And I will cover that when I come back from Florida.
Would you compare the Celebration more to a Prairie Trail than this one? Or do I just stop with my comparisons?
Frankly, no. I think Baldwin Park was a little bit more like Prairie Trail, but if Prairie Trail actually did what it set out to do.
Well, the single family that looks like it's in part of this looks like the single family they got up there. Everything's backloaded.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, stylistically, I think that's accurate. Now, when I was out in Celebration, I took a lot more photos in alleyways. I went and drove down some of those, and I took some photos of front of unit, back of unit comparisons. And I think that, we went through that rezoning proposal for the PUD out on 50th, 1 meeting ago. And I think that's the type of thing they're aiming for. And so I'm curious to see what those site plans look like. But I think if I can give that visual example at a later date, that maybe that's gonna, put a little bit better image to that potential product. And I think Celebration really exemplifies that a little bit more. I wasn't able to go down quite as many alleyways in Baldwin Park because I was just running short on time. Well, here, I did take some photos of them. There were ADUs on almost every single unit. And when I was in Celebration, there were a lot of ADUs being built above garages that clearly had already been built and finalized. So, ground floor already complete, but then scaffolding and, Tyvek on the upper story, right? So people were having the option of putting their garage in when they built the house, and then at a later date deciding, oh, you know what, I want supplementary income, or I want my parents to live up there, or my, here's right there. That's a perfect example of what I was seeing all over the place. 3-car garage on an alleyway, living unit above. Tons of that in these areas. So Celebration had a lot more of them. I'm not going to wax on that too much anymore here, but very interesting to see.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Elliot.
Yep. That's my staff update. So I will cede my time.
Our next meeting is August 28th at 5:45. Then I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 We are adjourned at 6:28 PM. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Are you doing something else, Elliot, while you're down there? Or was your sole trip just to go look at mixed use or mixed densities?
Well, tomorrow I'm going to the Kennedy Space Center, and then let's see. After that, I don't know, but we're going to go to Universal for a couple days. We went to Epcot yesterday, and I will say Epcot was cool. Huge ripoff.
Yeah, you can skip Epcot next time you go, probably.
No,
The other Disney parks are probably better.
dude, it was cool, but not worth $160. Holy crap. Like, I'll go to Worlds of Fun for an entire season for less than that.
Disney really only gets more economical the more days you spend there. It's like after you spend 4 days there, it's like $10 a day to add on. So anytime I've gone for a week, and it spread itself out. It's not that bad.
No, it's all about Universal for us. So we're biding our time until Ashlyn is done with her conference, and then we'll get some Jurassic Park merch and be happy. So
Yeah, well, those pictures, like, out of curiosity, if we were to like pick an area to do we, is there a thinking along the lines of, if you build it, they will come sort of situation with something like this?
yes, because Jason, there's an untapped market. We don't have an example